Welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. Today's poem is another landscape describing poem. It's a big category in Chinese poetry. So lots of mountains, lots of rivers. Okay, 白日依山尽, white sun, lean on the mountains. And 尽 is basically the sun disappearing behind the mountain scene. And I translate it as exhaust. May not be the most contextually accurate, but exhaust means it ends its life as a sun, visible to us. Sun, of course, it still exists. 黄河入海流. So 黄河, Yellow River, is one of the major two rivers, and actually it's the starting location for Chinese culture. And 白日 and 黄河, both using one color in front of one big object to give you the sense a little bit of features. Just one, I guess it's a dimensional reduction of this one big grand thing reduced to just their color. Yellow River, 入海流, enter the sea, flowing. 入海流 doesn't make sense in the sequence of English, right? So it's kind of flowing, sea word flowing. So that gives you the direction. And Chinese geography, the west side of China is next to Himalaya, right? It's the tallest part on the planet Earth. And then Chinese waterways almost always flow from the west to the east, from the high ground to low ground. So Huanghe, the main river that's kind of this shape in northern part of China, are going to flow to the sea, the Yellow Sea. Yellow River go to Yellow Sea. That gives you as a Chinese, I grew up in that environment, and when I think about 入海流, I always think about from the west to the east. That's how sea word flowing of the river will look like, but actually depends on your location on the planet Earth. The rivers flow to the sea in all kinds of possible directions, right? So let's go unpack each one. 白日, 白 and the 日, you see the similarities over there. So this 白, actually color white, was defined from the sun. Basically, white describe the color of the sun, and we use one extra spike, just one sun ray from the sun symbol, which I call it energetic ball, even if it doesn't look like a ball. In later formulated Chinese characters, so it's this kind of a boxy shape, no longer in its original physical form, but it is boundary, right? Started with spherical, like this is probably more spherical. And then one horizontal line is the energy. So it described what it got. It got energy on them. What's the shape? That's the two major features of what sun feels to the earthlings, right? And then the one ray coming out of it, instead of drawing out all the sun rays, kind of like a spherical ball, and then with the sun ray like that, like our typical children's sun drawing, Chinese just use one spike coming out of that to denote it's the sunlight coming out of the sun, and that's how we define the color of white. So 白日, almost like a no-brainer given. 依山尽, 依. The E is made of two parts. The left side, this is leftward facing human figure. I later realized that Chinese culture define direction differently from the English world or the mathematical world, which always have this X and Y and have coordinates, have the arrow pointing rightward. When we want to denote time, it's always going from the left to the right, right? Chinese reverse that, and leftward facing was the forward facing. Actually, people are supposed to go this way. Okay. In the future, I got to find out why left is the forward. Probably there will be more cultural clues somewhere. The right side is clothing. So Chinese clothes, before we have the tailoring of how we make the 3D fabric into a 2D fabric into a 3D clothing that's form fitting into a human body. So Chinese used to do this wrapping neckline, look like this. And describes that front side of the neckline. This describes the darted back side of the neckline. So this is the whole neckline, and that's the main structure. And that's kind of close to the eye level. There will be like hands, right? Your sleeves, the bottom of your clothing, but that's not emphasized because that's not visually close to us when we pay attention to the necklines, right? So this is clothing, human clothing, how close that is. That's how Chinese use our body and the clothing on the body to describe the proximity, how we kind of enclosed with our attire, and that's the sense of leaning, like of the just like the clothes had a hung on top of our body, right? So reversely, like our body may lean into our clothes as well. Definitely, there are plenty of such fashion theories about how clothing can make you feel bigger or smaller than your current, psyche or ego or sense of self feels, right? So we humans and our clothing mutually lean on each other. That's leaning. So as if when you see the sun and the mountain in a near sunset view timing, you almost see the sun is kind of leaning on the mountain, meaning it's really approaching. It's on the edge of the mountain. It's going to setting down behind that mountain. Okay, and this jin is originally made from dishwashing. So I guess in ancient times before we have the invention of contemporary dishwasher and all that, modern equipment, you hand wash dishes. I still do these days. It's a habit, and a 3-finger hand symbol holding this brush scraping over the dish. So this is the dish set described, and you're supposed to scrub it clean, right? So there were methods without chemical stuff, right? Without a dish soup for you to clean the dish, for it to be hygienic to use next time. So the dishwashing gotta be thoroughly done. Otherwise you get sick over food poison, right? If you didn't have a clean dish. So this, just by dishwashing imagery itself, gives you the completion of something. Something got to be done in a perfect, clean, thoroughly way, and extended to all other kinds of activities of humans, and eventually get into this framework of the sun is going to lean on the mountain and eventually exhaust itself, meaning it's going to set down there. Okay, that's what 白日依山尽 is. So the Chinese characters, each one got different dimensions. And when poets put imagery together, you see almost like two action words here. One is this leaning, the spatial sense of their proximity, right? And the jin give you so if this 白日依山 is a still frame, right? You kind of mentally picture how the sun and the mountain position to each other, and the jin gives you the dynamic, it's almost like a slow motion run of the movie when the sun slowly dropping behind the mountain. So that's how I interpret that. 黄河入海流. So 黄河, how Chinese express yellow. If we use the sun as a starting point for the color white, yellow was drawn from the farm field. So this, not the sun anymore. So we have another kind of sphere But instead of one horizontal line, we quadrant it. We have both horizontal and vertical line in it to cut this space into 4 pieces. And that is ancient times lotting processes to cut bigger piece of land into smaller pieces for households to run on. So every family have their own farm field. So that quartered box is our farm field by default. Okay, and then we have it overlapped. Actually, we have the fire symbol overlaid on top of the quadrant vertical line there. So this cone shape with 2 sparkles on the side is a Chinese abstraction of fire. And then we have a 20 on top of that. 20 is made of 2 tens visually there. Chinese express 10 as a cross, nothing to do with Christianity. It's a roping technology back then to keep record, kind of a permanent record, tie a knot there. But the knot is hard to see, so Chinese use the indicator to mean there's a knot there. And there are 2 of them. You can see 2 crosses right next to each other, and somebody connect the bottom to make it look like more one unit. So 黄河入海流, this Huang is made of 20 fire on the farm field. So 20 probably in Chinese concept back then is already a lot. So a lot of fire looking color on the farm field, which is the harvesting season. The farm field looks like on fire. It's a golden color everywhere. And that's the picture imagery put in there. And that's how you can associate the scenery depicting in there to the color sense. Okay, 河, water sign. You can see this recurrent theme, water symbol on all 3 characters here, because we're talking about water, we're talking about the behavior of the water, and so we have them reoccur. Okay, 河 is made of water sign, which is depicting water flowing in nature in a stream way, interrupted on the side, but continuous in the middle. Okay, 可 on the right side, not just the sound maker, just like every one of them, not just sound maker, they serve to give the meaning to it. And if the water gives you categorical sense of what we're talking about now here, even if it's the first time for you to see this character, even if you don't recognize it, you see the water sign, you know it's something about the water, okay? Kind of give you a clue, visual clue there. And then it's the right side that actually define what exactly about water that is, okay? The 可 means you get a permission. This 可 is a Chinese way to say can. You can do something, this can. This permission or allowed is made of 1 horizontal line on the top of the frame that represent our outer boundary of existence, sky. Chinese call it the sky, but it's really the space, the whole spatial sense of our existence under the sky. And then we have this puff of air. Supposedly from the bottom of the frame to the top of the frame, there is this connecting line between us, humans, and the sky, the outer boundary of their existence. And then we have the mouth symbol up there. So it's somebody speaking from the earth to the sky, trying to understand if we can or cannot do something. Okay, so this is, you can view it as an ancient way of effort to communicate to our creator or nature or something uncontrollable, unpredictable, something beyond the human, right? And this is, you can regard it as our prayer. We try to tell our intention to the creator, let's put it in that, and then we try to decode what that creator intend us to do, or what's the best strategy to navigate this environment, right? That has been ancient practice all the way till today, right? So this is our prayer thing, or permission, or we simply view it as can. So can water is our 河 image. And originally this 河 is specifically this yellow river, which is the source, the origin story, or the origin landscape for Chinese culture to exist, which is a farming culture next to the river. And that, if we use this permission next to the river or water symbol, That means this is the river we are allowed for existence if we want to view it as our origin story. Okay, Ru simply is almost you can view it as you're puncturing through something so that you can enter. It visually shows you a kind of a forcefulness and this puncturing, this sharp edge. Okay, 海 and 流, water, right? Difference here is how Chinese express 海. 海 is huge, right? And 海 is gathering all the rivers down there. So it's like all encompassing, all accepting, all tolerating the ultimate capacity for our nature. And 海, Chinese use mother symbol next to it. And we have a plant symbol on top of it. Okay, so mother symbol is actually a woman symbol. Besides the three trident looking thing, I mean the three spikes, trident looking thing on the top, on the bottom portion, if you take out the two strokes on the outside, which are the nipples symbol in Chinese, the remaining frame in the frame is a girl symbol. And actually it means unmarried woman, because Chinese have this stage, different stages of woman's life cycle. Unmarried start without the nipple. And once you start breastfeeding, meaning you become mother, you're entering into your motherhood, and that is the mother symbol. Mother, and then we have the plant on top of that. Plant symbol symbolize life. Even if it's human life, we use plant as an agrarian society to be all like a life-giving, life-supporting form. So a plant relates to life. So mother, that gives you life, paired with water. That means this is the waterway that gives life to everything. It's evolutionarily true, right? The land came from the sea, and all the living beings originally came from the sea, right? So that's the whole origin story of the whole humanity. 河 is the origin story of Chinese culture, but 海 is the origin story for all humanity. 流, water, and here we have three continuous, non-interrupted flow of water. And we even draw out a block and then draw continuation of flow. So that gives you the sense of continuous flow regardless of a block along the way. Just like the book flow, right? You're in the flow of something. That's like you forget about time and space. You continuously in this flow of energy or creativity you're in. And here, Chinese explainer for that is it's related to water, and it's a continuation without interruption. And even if there is interruption, the block in there, you're going to continue going forward. So it's like your energy in your flow state is big enough for you to overcome whatever blockage in there, right? Creative blockers in there. Okay, 黄河入海流, after the sun setting behind the mountains, then you have the yellow river are going toward the sea. Again, for Chinese, my automatic picturing is from west to east, flowing. And that's the imagery Gemini created. I guess this is close enough. We have the sun setting behind the mountain, and then you have the river going, entering the sea, supposedly over there. And this is the sunset over river / mountain view. So this is the background, the landscape, the poet described you first. And then what's next? Let's see tomorrow. Thank you for your time. See you another day.